يا أيها الذين آمنوا أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول وأولي الأمر منكم.
So Allah makes a call to all of humanity. كُلُوا مِمَّا فِي الْأَرْضِ حَلَالًا طَيِّبًا وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ. And don't follow the footsteps of shaitan. Here these people were arguing, we're following our forefathers' footsteps. Allah says, actually no. All of what you're following, when you try to go against the halal, what is that actually? It's the footsteps of shaitan. That's all that is. You don't be confused into thinking that's your tradition, that's your culture, that's your heritage, that this is your pride and your civilization. There's none of that. That's all delusion. What it really is footsteps of shaitan. إِنَّهُ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ. Certainly he is a clear enemy to you. Yeah, you love your family, you love your tradition, you love your history, but you have to hate shaitan. And if he got the best of them, he shouldn't get the best of you. Don't let the love of your family tradition allow you to become a friend with shaitan. Don't let those two things get confused with each other. Another very important consideration. You know, sometimes our loved ones, they ask us to do questionable things. Especially for the Muslims nowadays when it comes to weddings, is a good example. You know, they ask us to do questionable things. They ask us to, for example, take out a credit card loan, or go and do an overly extravagant wedding that's going to put everybody in a financial difficulty. Then of course the way the party is going to happen is also not exactly going to be halal, you know. And there's going to be, you know, dancing and this and that. And this is a typical Muslim wedding. You can't even tell the difference between that and a Christian wedding nowadays. Except for the imam that walks in for 5 minutes and everybody puts the napkin on their head. And, you know, except for that part, you can't even tell the difference, right? No, they hire a DJ and everything. This friend of mine back from college, right? He invited me to his wedding. And I kind of knew that it's going to be a little shady. So I was trying to get out of it somehow because I try not to be part of those kinds of gatherings. But out of respect for the family, I went at least to say salam. And the DJ he hired was the owner of the halal meat store. Okay, so the guy I buy meat from every week, right? So I walk in and this guy's like blasting music, is like in the groove. I'm like, is that you? And he sees me and he puts nasheeds on. Like, save it, bro. I was here or not, a lesbian here, man. You know, and he's just like avoiding eye contact. I'm like, yeah, no, this is too awesome. But this is like, you know, and this is at a Muslim wedding, right? And I'm not passing a fatwa on music or anything, but the kind of gathering, you can tell shaitan's there. You can tell. You can tell there are no barriers, there are no restrictions between inappropriate interaction. You know, when Muslim women are dressed, and they're decked out. They can get dressed up for themselves, that's fine. But when they're dressed in a way, like, I'm sorry to be offensive, but it looks, you know, back home, the way they dress like elephants, like in Hindu tradition, they like deck them out in all these fancy colors. They do this with buses in Pakistan. You ever see that? Those crazy colors and bells and whistles hanging. That's how they dress our women. You know, they're like this insane colors flashing at you. You know, this is just completely inappropriate for a public setting for a Muslim woman. For a Muslim woman. And when you ask them, why do you do that? They'll tell you, this is how we do things. What are you talking about? This is how everybody, your cousins had a wedding. What are they going to say if we don't have a wedding like this? Why are you so extreme? This is how we do things in our family. And you know what's so funny about that question? If you were to show them a picture of their own grandfather and their own grandmother, Grandpa's got a big old beard, and Grandma, you can't even see her face. Her face is like the chadar is hanging over the head. You can barely see her face. They're completely modest. I was like, what family tradition are you following? Even these same people that have become so, you know, forward-thinking, they call themselves, right? They've become so forward-thinking. Even in their tradition, go a couple of stages back, couple of generations back, you'll find Islam. They've abandoned tradition. What they call tradition is a joke. What tradition is that if not Hindu tradition for us? You know, one of my teachers, Dr. Ustadh rahimahullah, one of the most painful experiences of his life, he describes it. He was invited also to a wedding. And this wedding was at the border of India and Pakistan. It was a part of Lahore that's kind of touching the border of India. It was a Muslim wedding. So he went there, he was invited, so he went. And he goes, and there's a Completely inappropriate gathering, music is blasting, this and that. Asr time comes, nobody even gets up. So he kind of takes one of the tablecloths off the table, puts it on the side, and he starts making salat by himself. And a couple of people joined him. And the groom felt bad, so he joined him too. And Dr. Saab himself says, I don't think he made wudu. But he joins him anyway. And after he finishes making salah, he's looking around and he's thinking to himself, man, not 50 miles from here, on the other end of the border, there's a Sikh wedding going on. There's a Hindu wedding going on. And there's no difference between these two weddings. You couldn't tell the difference. And he says, so what reason did not 50 years have gone by and Muslims drew this line, this border with their blood? That blood hasn't even dried yet, and look at us. There were 2 generations ago, Muslims were staying up all night in countries like Algeria, in countries like Pakistan, in countries like, in Egypt, all over the Muslim world that were occupied by foreign powers. Muslims would stay up the entire night, not even in Ramadan, every night, collectively making dua, get rid of this evil force that is on us. If you get rid of this force, Ya Allah, we will worship only you. We want our children to be able to say La ilaha illallah. We will serve your deen. We will show you what Islam really is. Get rid of these evil forces on top of us. And Allah removed many of those forces. And what happened? What loyalty did we show Allah? This is the same exact thing Bani Israel had done, by the way. Bani Israel asked Allah for relief from oppression. And then Allah gave them freedom and then said, let's see what you do. Let's see when you get power, let's see how you hold on to power. Let's see what you do with that power. What have the Muslims done? What do we have to show for ourselves? SubhanAllah. We love talking about politics. Before you talk about bringing about change in the political spectrum, how about we talk about our family situations? How about Islam in the family? And our extended families. Those of you guys that are sitting here in the masjid, probably most of you, you're the weirdos in your family. Right? Most of your families are like, they think religion is a joke. And you guys are extreme, you've lost your way. And they look at you and they laugh and they say, that thing is still on your face? And they look at your women and they say, you're still wearing that thing? You're going to go to the Eid party looking like that? Might as well not come. That's how they'll talk to you. That's your own family. This is the crazy situation we're in. We have to convince the Muslims to go to halal and tayyib. And here Allah is talking to all of humanity and saying, كُلُوا مِمَّا فِي الْأَرْضِ حَلَالًا طَيِّبًا وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ.